What's up guys, it's Canadian, and what an exciting weekend of Overwatch it was for the uninitiated. BlizzCon 2017 just wrapped up yesterday, and boy oh boy was there a lot of news. Let's get into it. So, rapid fire recap. A new hero was announced, Moira. She is a support. We'll talk about her in a little bit. A new map was announced, a hybrid map, which means the first part's control point and then the next part's escort, kind of like King's Row. The new map is called Blizzworld. That's going to be awesome. Means less 2CP. Woohoo. The Overwatch World Cup quarters, semis, and grand final happened, including the new spectator changes, which were amazing, by the way. It made it so much better to watch Overwatch esports. The spectator changes were outstanding. Team colors, UI changes, minimap, all that jazz, instant replay especially. It was so much better than in the past. The Overwatch World Cup was an amazing tournament. I'm not going to spoil anything, but if you didn't watch any of it, I recommend you watch France versus China, the Junkertown map, and you watch USA versus South Korea, the Hanamura map. You will not regret it. Other notable series was the Canada-Australia series as well as the grand final. So check those out. I'll leave a link to a Reddit in the description that has all the links to the VOD. So check it out, guys. If you're excited about Overwatch esports and you want to, see the best players put their best foot forward, definitely watch the matches I'm recommending. There was also a ton of Overwatch League news. I don't know if you guys are interested in that, but the schedule was announced, the start dates were announced, all the uniforms were shown, merchandise, all that stuff was awesome. I'll put a link to the press release also in the description and in the comments. For Season 1, I think I'm going to be rooting for Seoul Dynasty as well as the Dallas Fuel. I just like a lot of those players and think, that they're going to put on a really good game, so that's who I'm going to be rooting for. There were also a ton of new skins announced that are not tied to an event. They will just be added into the base loot box, including a Zarya skin, which I will put a picture up here. There's also an Orisa skin, a young Reinhardt skin, Roadhog. There's a ton of skins, guys. I'll try and put all the pictures here really quickly, and I'll put a link to that article in the comments and the description. I think the Zarya skin looks sweet. The Barbarian look is super awesome. I also love the Orisa skin. The Protoss look is amazing. I'm a huge Protoss fan from my StarCraft days, and it looks awesome. Enough about Overwatch esports. Let's get into the new hero and the new map. Alright, let's do some quick rapid fire info about Moira to give context for my theory crafting. Moira's primary fire heals and her alternate fire deals damage. Her alternate fire locks onto enemies and heals Moira while she's dealing damage. She has an orb that can also heal and do damage, and it travels in a straight line until it bounces. She has an ability that lets her escape and move around the map. And her ultimate is a long-range healing and damage beam that pierces all shields such as Reinhardt, Winston, Orisa, etc. If you guys want more details on Moira's abilities, I'll put a link to her hero page on the official Overwatch website in the description and the comment. So my first thoughts on Moira is that she is going to excel in deathball comp and struggle in dive comps. Moira wants to be in compositions that like to stay together, that don't, move around the map quickly. She's going to work a lot better with characters that stay grounded versus characters that are highly mobile. The reason for this is because her primary fire healing is a pretty short range beam, let's call it, so she can't really be, all over the map chasing, Genjis and Tracers because she doesn't have a lot of mobility. Her one kind of mobile ability has a 6-second cooldown, so she's not going to be chasing Genji or Tracers around. There's no verticality to that ability. And her other healing ability, her healing orb, is pretty slow, and again, it just moves in a straight line unless it bounces, so unless you're having a Genji and Tracer literally follow it around and stand there, it's not really going to be healing them that much. But with a composition that sticks together, remains grounded, your classic Zarya Reinhardt compositions, she's going to fire out that healing orb, and it's just going to heal everyone as you guys move forward, right? The orb will travel with your team, so I think she's going to do amazing things for deathball compositions, and I'm really hoping, when she's released, you kind of see those rise back up, because then we'll be seeing more Reinhardt, more Zarya, more Orisa, things that, just slow and steady wins the race type of composition instead of the dive that we've been seeing these last couple seasons. Another strength for Moira is that she is probably going to be pretty good versus enemy divers, like your Genjis, like your Tracer. Her alternate fire, right, her damaging attack, it just locks onto them, which means, Genji can't reflect out of it. Tracer will have to run away. I believe the range is pretty generous, like 10-15 meters, I think, is what I saw around the internet. So she's going to be attacking them, latching onto them, and while she is damaging them, she will be healing herself, right? So she has a lot of personal protection, from these diving type characters. Zen, pretty weak versus divers unless you have godlike aim. Ana is pretty good versus divers, right? You've got the biotic grenade to heal yourself. You've got the sleep dart. Mercy, kind of bad versus divers, right? She's never really going to fight them off. She really just has to run away. But Moira, I think she can really, put up with divers very well, especially with the nature of her alternate fire, that it locks on, it does heal her, and it can get through abilities, like Defense Matrix, like Reflect. And I almost forgot, you don't have to reload. Moira's alternate fire has unlimited ammo. You never ever have to reload it. Another bonus to Moira versus these divers. Another bonus to Moira versus divers is that she has a way to heal herself. Just like Ana had her biotic grenade to kind of keep herself alive while trying to fend off a diver, Moira has her healing orb that could, if she chose, be a damaging orb. So depending on where Moira is fighting, if you're in a close corridor, small room, you could fire out the healing orb, which is going to keep Moira alive, bounce everywhere, keep healing her, or she could fire out the damaging orb, which is just going to DPS the diver fighting her, in that small space. So that's another bonus to Moira versus a diver. So as I was saying before, I think Moira is going to excel with Deathball comps. I think she's also going to do very well when paired with a Lucio, if you're attacking a choke point. So a pretty common strategy nowadays is, everyone kind of groups up, you Lucio speed boost and run like hell through a choke point, right? But Moira can make that even safer. If you guys are sprinting through that choke point with a Lucio speed boost and she fires off a healing orb, it's just going to be healing everyone as you guys are pushing in, right? It's a traveling source of healing that, is fire and forget for Moira. If Moira, fires off that healing orb and then she's in the back and she's just spraying everyone with her primary fire healing, which I believe pierces, multiple allies, so she can heal, multiple allies in a row in front of her, then you have tons of healing and tons of speed to really just start a fight right away instead of getting picked off in the choke. Now let's talk about how she might work with Zarya, because, I am a Zarya player, and every time I see a new hero, I'm always asking myself, how does this hero work with Zarya? So a couple of things came to mind, so let's talk about them. The first thing that came to mind is that I think she could be a great combo for Graviton, because her ultimate, Moira's ultimate, does pierce through shields, Coalescence, and it heals and damages at the same time. So depending on what, those damage and healing numbers are, because honestly I don't know, I'm not going to throw anything out there because I just have no clue, but when you Graviton, Zarya Graviton's an enemy team and they have like a Ryan shield or a Winston shield, Moira can just ult and it will go through these shields, damaging everyone as well as healing anyone that, kind of gets in the way. So I think that could be a really good combo, especially if you pair that with a damage orb from Moira, right? The Graviton goes out, boom, incoming damage orb hitting everyone in the grav, as well as the Coalescence ultimate. That's a lot of damage coming from a support hero in theory. Again, I don't know those damage numbers, so just keep an eye out for that. And finally, as Zarya, if your Moira is ulting, it seems like a channel, and it seems like it could definitely be interrupted. So, same old tactic. If you see your Moira ulting, put a bubble on her, make sure she can get off as much of her ultimate as possible. From footage, it looks like it lasts 8 to 10 seconds, somewhere in there. So just that 2 seconds of protection could maybe make the difference between her having an amazing ultimate and having a terrible ultimate. I think the addition of a new, more grounded healer is going to be really good for Zarya players everywhere. They'll be in the thick of it with you. Hopefully they, attack who you're attacking potentially and heal you when you need it, keep you up, keep your energy alive. So I'm really excited for Moira to come out and can't wait to, play her myself and, play with friends. And while I play Zarya, we can test it out, test some interactions and stuff. But she seems like a really fun hero, guys. Thank goodness we're getting a new support character. It has been far too long since the last one. Like I said, I think she'll be really strong in Deathball comps, which means more Zarya, and if you've got a healer keeping you up, keeping all that energy going, it's going to be a good time. Before I forget, I also think she will work very well with Orisa. As Orisa slowly moves her shield forward, Moira will get closer and closer to the enemy team, and she can sap their energy, their life from safety from behind Orisa's shield, and if needed, Orisa can body block for Moira, while Moira just stands right behind her, healing her with her primary fire. So I think Moira Orisa is also going to be a very strong combination. It'll be interesting to see how Supercharger works with her alternate fire. Does it increase her healing meter regeneration? How much damage are we going to be doing with the Supercharger and the damage orb? Those things will get sorted out in the future. But I also think Orisa Moira will be a good combo because you'll just slowly either push your front line forward or be able to maintain a position even stronger on defense. Oh, and one more thing, Orisa's halt ability will work very well with Moira's damaging orb, right? You can pull a group of enemies together, right? As Moira tosses out that orb, Moira will get a ton of alt charge, a ton of damage off, and it will be, really, really good for both characters. Okay guys, that wraps up my thoughts on Moira. Let's talk about the new map, Blizzard World. So this is the first point of Blizzard World. The attackers are going to have to push in through here. There are three side doors. This side door just leads over to this door, doesn't go anywhere else. I have no idea where this one goes to. I watched as much footage as I could of the map, but I never saw anyone use this door. This first door over here kind of leads to a side room off of this choke. So if this is the statue, the side room is right here onto the side. But yeah, this first choke is going to be very good for Zarya, right? It's a pretty small corridor, lots of spam from the defensive team just going to pour through here. You should be able to play this corner right here, or this corner with the statues to get some good charge from the initial poke phase and then push in to the point pretty charged. So while this point is good for Zarya, this first choke, I think it's also going to be pretty good for Orisa. This corridor is pretty small, so your shield can take up a vast majority of it, and you can basically like run in with Fortify and then place a shield kind of either on this side or on this side and push your team into one side. I'd recommend the left hand side just because there is a mega health pack and there is a room over here. So you would push in with Fortify, place a shield either right here or right here depending on where the enemy team is, and kind of quickly take this room, and then you can push out of that room again with Orisa with the big health pack. We'll switch to the other picture so you can see what I'm talking about. So this is what it looks like on the other side of that choke for the defenders. Be careful of right here for Zarya. There could be someone perched up here, dishing damage down, probably a Junkrat, at least in the current meta. That side door, by the way, that we didn't know where it came through, maybe it comes out right here. It's hard to say. That's all speculation. I know that the door that was on this side of the point leads right here. There's a doorway right behind this house right here where it spits you out. But yeah, so once you push into this first point, again, as Zarya, you can like play the statue right here, peek out, try and get some more charge, use this cover as you push in to the point to try and capture it. So this is a pretty good spot for Zarya. There's only the one main high ground point, which there is lots of cover from this high ground point here. So far, this map's looking pretty good for Zarya. Lots of cover, not a lot of high ground. So looking at the first choke from the other side, as Orisa, right, you push in, you place your shield. Let's say they're, the enemy team stacked up on this high ground. You put your shield right here, and you rotate quickly into this room. I think there's a door right here, or right here. But I'm pretty sure there's a door right there. So you come in, put the shield, go into this door, and then there's a mega health pack right there, and you guys have another exit right here to kind of push towards the point. So, this is a great little path for Orisa's to take to lead your team through. You can push into the open, but really you can only cover one lane at a time, right? If you push this way, you'd have to put the shield here, which isn't bad, right? You can still then create space, move up that way, but the enemy team can have some angles from the sides over here. So I think going through this right hand side with Orisa shields is going to be your best bet. So this is an aerial view of the first point. This was the best screenshot I could find. For those wondering, this right here is where the capture point it is. It is this space right here. So the attacking team has to push through this choke, past this statue, past this little village, and capture this point right here and then unlock the payload and then push it through the next area, which I believe is called either the Protoss area or the Pylon Terrace. So There is one lane right here. You kind of can't see it because this roof is in the way, and then there is the second lane right here. If you want to take this high ground, you have to go into this house right here, and it spits you out up top. So if, as Zarya, for some reason you want to contest the space, you have to go all the way through here, I'm pretty sure. I don't think the door right here leads into the Flight of Duskwood. But yeah, again, look at this point, right? Not a lot of high ground at all. Only some heroes will be able to utilize this space right here, you know, Genji, Hanzo, stuff like that. But for the most part, it's pretty spread, or pretty wide open. You know, lots of corners, right? Play this corner, this corner. Zarya can, you know, really fight on this point, capture it, exert her presence. Again, since the high ground's not that high, you know, if someone exposes themselves, you can beam them down, you can grenade them. There might be a way to grenade jump up here, honestly, you know, without playing the map personally. It's hard to say. I do see a set of stairs right here, actually. So you see these stairs in the back. So it looks like you can wrap around the point, go into this fisherman's hut, and, you know, take this high ground if someone is really being annoying. You might be able to grenade jump off of these objects right here, but I assume they break, so that's probably not very consistent. But yeah, the first point is pretty good for Zarya. It's really only this spot of high ground which requires a bit of rotation, but the rest of it all very good, right? Through the choke, it's all very low ground, not a lot of perches, not a lot of places for people to like hide from you, right? So lots of cover for you as well. So yeah, this first point's looking pretty good for Zarya. So for this point, as Orisa, right, we already talked about coming through the choke, pushing in. I think, and the point being right here, this will be really good for Orisa, right? If anyone's on this high ground trying to contest, you can just halt them down to the low ground, which is really awesome. You know, these walls, especially this wall right here, is a really good power position. You can put the shield right there, place your bongo kind of right here, and boom, and the bongo is covering the whole point while being behind a shield, being in cover. The angle of the shield can change as needed, right? You can place it like this if you have to, if you really need to, you know, turtle yourself, place it a bit at an angle there. Then again, if you want to go around the back, you can take this high ground as Orisa, you know, place the bongo up on the high ground, it'll reach your whole team down low. You know, Orisa can, if you guys are capping the point, Orisa can move up really easily. You know, place the shield right here to really stop the attackers, you know, coming back, and just lay down suppressing fire, and you have this wall right here for cover, you know, as needed. So I think this first point is also really good for Orisa, just like it is for Zarya. So this is the second point, called Pylon's Terrace. The doorway right here leads to where we were just looking, the first point. So the attacking team has to push the payload through here all the way to the end. This is the start of the third point, Leoric's Manor. So this high ground right here, there is a staircase for the attackers right past this siege tank, and it leads obviously over to here and over to here. The main thing is that the high ground is not that high. It's kind of the same height as the Junkertown high ground on first point, so it's not really that bad for Zarya. Your beam can easily reach up here from the low ground. Also, there is lots of indoor cover. There's one room here, one room there, one room there, and one room right here. There's also this alleyway off on the side right here. So again, you know, there is some high ground on the second point, but it's still pretty good for Zarya. You know, this big wide open space for the cart, you know, as you're pushing and pushing, pushing, you can kind of play this corner. You can move up and kind of control this indoor area here. So while you're controlling this indoor area, you know, people on the high ground can't shoot you. Just got to make sure to return to your team to protect them with your projected barriers, because obviously when you are inside here, you cannot cast projected barriers on your team. I'd probably recommend taking the right hand side over the left, just because the doorways are a little wider. You can, you know, kind of keep an eye on the cart as well as rotate to the high ground as needed. Yeah, this point again, pretty good for Zarya. This alleyway is probably going to be a really good flanking position for Gravitons, as teams right behind this pylon of the third point is about right there. As teams are trying to, you know, defend either from the high ground or right outside the defender spawn, which actually that's not the defender spawn. The defender spawn is going to be all the way in Leoric's Manor. You can either rotate this alleyway and get a cheeky Graviton off, or, you know, from this high ground, right, bust out from behind this pylon and, you know, toss your Grav onto the low ground. So, yeah, there is some high ground on this point, but there is lots of easy access. There's stairs right here. There's a staircase inside this room over here. It's not like it's impossible to get to as Zarya. So, yeah, this point is still looking pretty good for the Russian weightlifter. So while Zarya will work on the second point, I think the second point kind of caters to Orisa a little bit more. It's not a bad point for Zarya by any means, but I think it's just a good point for Orisa. You know, a lot of this high ground you can easily take away as Orisa with a good halt ability. You know, if someone's up here, boom, halt. Someone's up here, boom, halt. If people are right here, you can, you know, halt them almost from either side, really. So you can take a lot of this high ground away with Orisa's halt ability. This alleyway right here, you can really push up as Orisa and take it away with a good shield. You can even move into this, in this corridor here. There's a lot of really small corridors, so your shield will take up the whole thing. So you can really cut off a whole path in there as Orisa. You know, definitely there's a doorway right here that you can control. You know, Orisa's shield is just like the perfect size for a lot of these openings, so I think she'll be really strong on this second point, especially since there's easy access to the high ground. There is a staircase right here. I already mentioned it, but just in case anyone forgot, there's a staircase right there, so you can attackers can just come in. Orisa can march right up here, plant herself, you know, right here with the shield, suppressing fire. You know, as the cart moves, she can move up to the next, you know, area, or you know, if you need to be with the points, you know, also pretty easy. You can use this corner, place a shield here to stop people from coming from the side, place a shield, you know, take this door or take this space over here and place shield. Just it's all of it, you know, just screams to me that this will be a really successful point for Orisa, you know, and Zarya. So after you take the second point, this is the third point. The third point is inside this area here. I will be showing that in a second. The final point's over here, but you know, take a look. Right there is a death pit, which, you know, death pits are very bad for Zarya, but good for Orisa. Really, really good for Orisa. You could, you know, as Orisa, you can kind of position here and be pulling people, you know, into the death pit as they are attacking, and then always rotate around the side here. There is only one snippet of high ground, so again, another great point for Zarya. Not really have to worry too much about that verticality. Lots of cover. This wall, you know, bless the developers for putting this wall here. Otherwise, it would be a wide open space. There is a staircase here. I don't know where it leads to. I apologize, but yeah, the cart's going to be pushing in here. Big wide open area. Very, you know, not a lot of high ground. You know, Zarya can create a lot of space. You know, there's a wall right there, so you can kind of push up right here, kind of control this area, dip into this side door here. You can then hide. There's a staircase over here. You can go up here and then hide with the graviton, right? If you get a huge advantage, then as the enemy team comes to defend, you just boom, drop out from behind, get a huge graviton, and you get a great team wipe, you know, with good team coordination. But yeah, I think this point's going to be very good for Orisa, both on attack and defense. If there are people, you know, up here, you can halt them down to the low ground. If people try and defend over here with this health pack, or if someone's running to the health pack, you can again halt them into the death pit. The shields, you know, you can place a shield right here and then you have tons of cover. You can place a shield right here and have tons of cover of attacking, defending. You know, and if you really going crazy, you can put a shield on the high ground here and, you know, just control a lot of the space. I think my favorite shield for Orisa on defense is going to be right here. So as Orisa, you would kind of plant yourself right here so you can contest the cart, you know, with the support of your team. And when people try to, you know, rotate around the shield to this side, you know, obviously they're running into the fire of your team. And if they try and just stand right here and break your shield, you just pull them into the death pit. So yeah, I think this zone right here is going to be Orisa's like go-to position, both on attack and defense. Right, as attack, you stand here, you shield here, you take up over half this lane, and then as defense, you control this space, then you have an easy retreat back to your team. So yeah, this point looks really good for the, you know, the tanks I play. Zarya, Orisa, looking really good for them so far. So this is the final point. Obviously, this is where the map ends. This is Leoric's throne room. The defender spawn is over here. So they're going to be coming through these two doors. I don't know if there's another pathway right here for the defenders. I'm not sure. But, you know, as the attackers push in, there's one choke here. There's basically 3 chokes. Looks like there's another walkway right here, actually. So it looks like there's 3 ways for the attackers to contest, you know, and again, the size of these doors are just so perfect for Orisa shields. Right, you can, whichever one the defenders are coming out of, you can just take it away with Orisa, you know, place one here, boom, take it away. And, you know, honestly, you just put one right here and kind of take away this angle and this angle, and really the attackers have to go all the way over here. You could put a shield right here and then force the attackers to go all the way around to the side, run into your team. But this point, again, really good for Orisa. You can pull people out of cover with the halt ability. Your supercharger, this is all a wall, right? So you could turtle pretty easily as Orisa too. Shield, Orisa, supercharger reaches everyone on the point. So again, another very good, space for Orisa. Now, and talking about Zarya, same sort of thing, right? Lots of open area for you to be able to beam down anyone. There is absolutely no high ground here, which is again another, plus side for Zarya. Small corridors, right? If you're pushing up trying to contest and the defenders are dumping, spam damage, through these doors, boom, that's easy charge. You don't have to like wildly try and catch it. You just like pick a door and get your charge. And there's really nowhere for anyone to hide from a graviton, right? If you place a grav here, it'll probably reach like this is a little exaggerated. Probably like that is the space of graviton. So especially back here, right? If the defenders are contesting the cart, right? Let's say this is the cart, so the contest box is like a bit over here. This is such a good graviton, right? There's no cover for absolutely anyone, and they're stuck here. They can't escape. So, this is another really strong point for Zarya. Maps that you want to be on as Zarya are ones with almost no verticality. Open spaces, but still have enough cover, to dip in and out with your bubbles, and the open spaces so your beam can just reach people, pretty easily. So this is, has all those things. So I think this will be another really strong point for Zarya. One other thing is that wide open spaces are really good for Zarya because she can keep an eye on everyone on her team with projected barriers. There won't be any obstructions. So that's another reason why the third point and the first point are both very, very good for Zarya. Overall, I think Blizzard World is going to be a really good map for, Orisa and Zarya as tanks. Obviously, it's going to be a learning curve, learn the ins and outs of the map, where the health packs are, etc., where the flanks are, for Graviton, for stuff like that. But so far, it's looking like a really good map. Not King's Row level, but still pretty good, pretty high up there. So can't wait to play it. Can't wait to try out, tanks on the map. Let me know what you guys think of the map, in the comments below. So I hope this was helpful, guys. Let me know what you think. Let me know what other kind of interactions with Moira you think Zarya might have. I'm really curious what your guys' thoughts are on the hero, on BlizzCon, any Overwatch, esport matches, all that jazz. Go ahead and, guys, leave a comment. I'll be sure to read it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope that this was helpful, and have a good one. Thanks for sticking around till the end of the video. Check out these two other videos on the left-hand side, and be sure to subscribe by clicking that button on the right. If you like all of this stuff, you can follow me on Twitch, Twitter, Discord, and of course YouTube. All the links will be in the description below. Again, thanks so much for watching, guys, and have a good one.